Good morning.
What was I streamed all weekend?
Per usual.
Mr. Brain, you think this week is going to go by super slow or super fast?
Yes.
Which one?
I think it depends on the person.
Do you think this week is
Some people will be like, oh my God, this week is taking forever. Some people will be like, oh my gosh, this week went by fast.
Well, since I have off in the middle of the week, it should go by fast.
Okay, see?
Hopefully.
So since somebody else has to work in the middle of the week, it probably is going to go by slow. One thing I can tell you for sure, Victoria, is each day will take 24 hours.
I work Friday.
Congratulations, so do I.
Congratulations, he works every single day to be here.
No, I don't work on weekends all the time.
I went to the breakfast on my farm yesterday too. She's really confused. Breakfast on the farm?
June is dairy month, so every year during June, each county normally has a breakfast on the farm where they have the farmers host it and they go out and they have, like the ones I've been to, they'll have like eggs and pizza and bacon and you pay for having a breakfast and then you get to tour the farm and find out about the farm and there are games for kids to play and different things like that.
I got to see a cow give birth. It was kind of cool.
What the heck? On breakfast? This was just looks like every day.
Yeah, they did that right in the middle of the meal. They bring the cow in and they have a birth right there in front of everybody while they're eating because then nobody's going to lose their lunch.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was on the tour. It was on the cow tour. It was cool.
Yep. So.
It really is.
It's an interesting experience. If you ever get a chance to go do breakfast on the farm.
Why are you calling at 9 o'clock? I heard you should have been there 45 minutes.
All right. Anybody else? Anything exciting? Anything new? Anything interesting happen over the weekend?
I seen your pictures.
You got your senior pictures done? Good job. Good job. All those things are coming up soon for you now, ladies and gentlemen. Now that you will soon be seniors.
Additional research on where
I'm
to
doing
college.
winter.
Okay.
More research.
I don't know about winter.
So where are you looking at?
Light water in the
I'll
car.
probably freeze it.
What are you going for?
Hurry up.
Okay.
Give me some.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything exciting this weekend?
Just the farm and most of those.
That's a pretty big weekend for most people.
And I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning for both of them. So.
Oh my gosh, and you're still alive today? Okay.
I went to Cheese Fest.
You went to Cheese Fest? Where was that?
Little Shoe.
Okay. So, what was it?
It was like a fair. And there was like a concert.
Okay.
I went to like 12 at night.
Okay. Okay. All the little communities are going to be starting their things this year. I don't know if you heard this. Anybody know about Seymour, the home of the hamburger?
Yes.
No.
They have their hamburger fest every year. They are not having it this year.
Oh,
The first time in how long? Because of the construction there. Now, Seymour, the home of the hamburger, also had the world's largest ketchup slide.
that sounds cool.
So they took a sheet of plastic and they would cover it with ketchup, and they'd have people run and slide on it and see how far they can get.
That sounds fun.
Now, the reason I know this for sure is because I used to work at the factory where they made the slide for them. So we would have to do a 300-foot roll of plastic for them to be able to do that.
That sounds fun.
Except for the ketchup part, yes. So
Would you ever do that, Mr. Brian?
do a ketchup slide. Probably not.
It sounds
A
like-
slide, yes. A ketchup slide, no. So
What about water slide?
water slides I've done before, yes.
I can't even fill the ketchup bottles.
So
I would not do that.
what's that?
Do we have like these ketchup bottles you have to fill like almost every week? And filling them up grosses me out because I hate the smell of ketchup.
I would do it.
Just thinking of going on a ketchup slide, no.
So my wife hosted a color run in Kiwani this weekend. You know what a color run is?
Yeah.
Okay. She hosted it. She came home and she looked like she participated in it. So as I asked her when she got home, I said, I thought you weren't running. She's like, I didn't run. The kids did this to me. I'm like, oh, that's your own fault. So, but. And my daughter decided to run the color run with her boyfriend. Run is in a very loosely used term with my daughter, who decided that she would walk most of it. But
Hey, at least she participated.
true. I will never forget that I had to ask her boyfriend, I said, did she stop for popsicles along the way? What? I said, well, when she was a kid, she ran the Bell and Run. So the Bell and the little 5K, not the marathon, you know, or
Yeah.
10K, I think it was. There were people who would hand out popsicles to the people who were running, those freezy pops, you know.
Yeah.
So we're standing there near the end and we're watching for my daughter, and here comes some of her friends. All right, she should be shortly after. Here comes some more of her friends. Where the hell is my daughter? Where the hell is she? All of a sudden, there she is, walking, popsicle in one hand. We're like, Sierra? She hears us, she takes off running again. I'm like, dude, you already got caught. You might as well just finish walking now. You already got caught walking, so. But, yeah. She's not a big fan of running. That's just why I was surprised she would do a short 5K run. But I'm like, okay, whatever. So, but. Anything else exciting?
Why didn't you participate in the run yesterday?
Okay, because I believe there are only two good reasons in the world to run. Reason number one, you're playing basketball. Okay, that's a good reason to run. Reason number two, you're being chased by a bear. And in reality, I don't have to run if I'm being chased by a bear. I just got to outrun the person who I'm with. Okay? And I figure if I hit them in the knee hard enough, they're not going to be able to run very much. So I can basically just outwalk them.
Can I go to the bathroom?
You got to wait 10 minutes, Zoe. Once 10 minutes are up, yes,
It's
you can.
10:40.
Okay, then are the 10 minutes up? Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. So, I don't believe in running. People say running is fun. I said, no, running is a punishment in my sport. So,
It sucks.
okay, we'll go with that.
It sucks.
So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, okay. So today we got to get you ready for your test tomorrow. So I got a few things online for you. We're going to try doing a few review games and things. We'll see how that goes. But before we do, our question of the day. Can you name me something you think is going to be on the test tomorrow?
Our name and last name.
Nope, that will not be on the test tomorrow.
Oh.
The test will come to you without your name and your last name because it comes to you individually.
Define chemistry.
Good, good. I can almost guarantee you the definition of chemistry will be on that test tomorrow, yes?
Redox.
What?
What a redox reaction is.
Okay, what do you mean by what a redox reaction is? Let's be a little more specific there. Kevin, are you just talking to him or are you sharing that with the rest of us? Because I think you got some good ideas. What are they?
What I think that we're gonna have is atomic trends and tables and stuff like that.
Okay, we could go back and talk about that. Yeah, we're going to have those atomic trends on there. What happens to atomic radius? What happens to the energy levels? What happens to the electrons, the valency electrons? What happens to atomic size? What happens to atomic mass? What happens to atomic number? Absolutely. All of those things are going to be on there. Victoria.
I found the list. The understanding pH.
Okay, pH will be on there. Okay? Now, by pH being on there, what I mean is this, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand that if you're between 0 and 6.9, you are a what? A pH of 0 to 6.9 means that you are an acid. A pH of 7.1 to 14 means that you are a, but then we could also break it down a little bit more. A pH of 0 to 3 at the far end, strong acid. Not just an acid, but a strong acid. A pH of 4, 5, or 6 is a weak acid. On the other side, a pH of 8, 9, 10. Nope, not 8, 9, 10. A weak base, and then as we get further away, 12, 13, 14, now you're talking about a strong base. Very good, very good. So what else? What?
You skipped 11.
Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here's the thing. If I give you a range, it's going to either have like 8 through 11 in it, or maybe 11 through 14. The key is the 14 and the 8. 8 means that it's a weak base. 14 means that it's a strong base. Okay? What else?
Groups versus periods.
Groups versus periods on the periodic table. And I will tell you right now, my chemistry class is doing a whole unit on the periodic table. And I ask them questions like, this is in the, this period, and they forget that periods go which way on the periodic table? They go across, from left to right, okay? So again, if something is in the same period as aluminum, it could be silicon, it could be phosphorus, it could be sulfur, it could be chlorine, it could be argon, it could be sodium and magnesium. Those are all in the same period because we're going across the periodic table. What do we call it if you go up and down?
Column.
Same column, same group, one other name?
Period.
Same family. Nope, not period. Periods go across. Column, group, or family, they go up and down, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And please remember, every column is numbered, every period is numbered. So if we talk about, give me a number between 1 through 18, Alexa. 17, give me a number between 1 through 7, Jimena. Group 17, period 5. We go across period 5 till we get to 17. That is the location of an element on the periodic table no matter what. Okay? So groups go up and down, periods go across. Every element has a certain period and group that it is in. Questions? Okay? So what else?
Define acid.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about that. We talked about what pH was.
Define acid and base.
Define an acid and a base. Now, after looking at your labs from last week, ladies and gentlemen, please understand there is a difference between a definition and a group of properties. Okay? Properties describe what will happen. So it will neutralize the base. It will turn litmus red. It will corrode a metal. Those are properties of an acid, yes, but those are not the definition of an acid. The definition of an acid is anything that increases the hydrogen ion concentration in water. That is the definition of an acid. Anything that increases the hydrogen ion concentration when in water. And then when you get into bases, again, feels slippery, tastes bitter, turns litmus blue, a pH of 7.1 to 14. Ionize in water, is an electrolyte. Those are all properties, and that is wonderful that you know the properties. But that is not the definition of a base. A base is anything that increases the hydronium or a hydroxide ion in water, that OH group. Okay? So that's the difference between an acid and a base. Okay? By the way, there are other definitions of an acid. So anything that will donate a proton is another definition of an acid. Well, a proton is a hydrogen ion. And a base would be a proton acceptor. Anything that will accept that proton. So I'm not saying there's only one definition, but some of you like to go and Google and get a definition, and sometimes your definition is not really a definition. Sometimes your definition is a list of properties. Okay? Here's the other thing. I will tell you this. You need to know some properties. You need to know properties of metals and nonmetals. You need to know properties of acids and bases. Okay?
Yeah. Name 3 similar properties that have acid and a base. and a base have, and then name 3 properties of an acid and a base that are different.
Correct, because again, when we talk about metals and nonmetals, they are what of each other?
Opposite.
Opposite. So whatever a metal will do, a nonmetal would do the opposite. So if a metal will conduct electricity, a nonmetal will not. If a metal is malleable, meaning it can be shaped, the nonmetal is not. If a metal is shiny, a nonmetal is not. But with acids and bases, there are some properties that they have in common. Can you name me a property that they have in common? Both acids and bases have this property. Well, what about it? What will acids do to your skin? What? They're corrosive. They'll corrode it. Okay? What will acids do in water? Nope, not in water. What will acids do in water?
Well, it's properties of an acid.
Okay, what's one of the properties of an acid and what it'll do in water that's similar to a base?
Substance that will dissolve in water conducts electrical current.
Okay, so if it conducts an electrical current, we call it an electrolyte. Both acids and bases are both electrolytes. Because what happens to an acid and what happens to a base when you put them into water? They undergo what process?
Ionization.
They undergo ionization. They separate into ions. That is a property of both. They will both separate into ions. They are both electrolytes. They are both corrosive. Okay? They even will do what to each other?
Neutralize.
They will neutralize. Those are all properties that they have in common. Now, name me a property that an acid has that a base does not, or that a base is different.
One tastes sour and one tastes bitter.
One tastes sour, one tastes bitter. What else?
Produce acids produce hydrogen ion in solution.
What do bases produce?
They produce OH ions.
Hydroxide ions in solution. Very good. One more difference between them.
Acid turns red and then bases turn blue.
Turn what red and turn what blue? Because you're correct, but there's a word there.
Litmus.
They turn litmus red, they turn litmus blue. Very good. Very good. Okay? So again, you've got some properties that are similar, some properties that are different. Okay? What else is going to be on the test tomorrow?
Redox.
Redox. Okay? What is reduction? What does it mean to be reduced? What is reduction?
Reduction
Is gaining electron.
Reduction is the gaining of electrons. Okay, if you gain electrons, what will happen to your charge?
You go negative.
You become more negative. Give me an example of becoming more negative. What could your charge go from and to? 0 to negative 1.
Or 1 to 0.
1 to 0.
Plus 2 and 0.
What?
Plus 2 and 0.
Okay, but that's the same as 1 and 0. So I agree. Going to 0 from a positive number, yes.
Negative
Going from 0 to a negative number, yes. Give me another one.
Negative 5 to negative 6.
Negative 5 to a negative 6. Going to a larger negative number. Okay?
4 to 2.
Going from 4 down to 2. Positive numbers, but your number becoming smaller. All of those are signs of reduction occurring. All of those are it. Where does reduction occur in a battery? Good. What do we call that side? Think of negative ions.
Hydroxide?
No.
Oh, how bad.
What do we call any negative ion?
Anion.
Good. So where does reduction occur in a battery?
At the anion side?
Okay, what do we call that side? You're very close. It's not the anion, it's the... I can't hear you, I'm sorry. It's called the anode. It's called the anode. Now, oxidation occurs at the opposite side, which is the...
Cation.
But what's the opposite of an anode?
Anide.
No. What's the opposite of an anion?
Cation.
Good. What's the opposite of an anode?
Cathode.
A cathode. Come on. It's the same vocabulary, guys. Same vocabulary. Okay? What happens during oxidation? What are you doing?
Oxidation is the
Losing what?
electrons.
Okay, when you lose electrons, what happens?
You're going positive.
You become more positive. You become more positive. Okay? Give me an example of becoming more positive.
3 to 5.
Okay, 3 to 5.
Plus 3.
Plus 1 to plus 3.
-1 to 5.
-1 to a positive number. Negative what?
Negative 3 to 0.
-3 to 0. 0 to a positive number. Okay? Any of those are possible. What is always the charge on a compound? 0. What is always the charge on a lone element?
0.
So in a compound, because you have two things that make it up, one thing must be what and the other must be what?
Equal to 0.
Okay, how can they be equal to 0? Because one is what and one is the other is what?
Positive, one is negative.
One is positive, one is negative. In a redox reaction, if something is in a compound on both sides of the equation, what will happen to its charge? If something is in a compound on both sides of the equation, what will happen to its charge?
It'll stay the same.
It will stay the same. It will stay the same. So remember, if something's in a compound at the beginning and a compound at the end, it will stay the same. Okay? Questions? All right. So, in Google Classroom, ladies and gentlemen, in the classwork tab, there is a list of Unit 8 test topics here for you. Okay? So again, a lot of the things that we just talked about. Periodic table, trends, properties, patterns, okay? Trends and patterns are really similar, but that's how we started this unit out. We graph things. What happens to this trend as we go across the periodic table? What happens as we go down the family? Properties, especially properties of metals and nonmetals. What does it mean to be a metal? What does it mean to be a nonmetal? What do they do? Groups versus periods, okay? We did a little bit talk about properties and changes. What's a chemical property? What's a physical property? What are some similarities? What are some differences? And examples. Now remember, a property is something that can happen. A change, something that is happening. It is an action. It is something that is going on. So for example, iron is rusting. That is the change. The fact that iron can rust, that is the property. The property is always what could happen. The change is always what is happening. Okay? And remember, if it's a physical change, nothing new is going to be created. Yes, it will change how it looks or how it appears, but nothing new will be created. If it is a chemical change, something different is going to be there that wasn't there before. Okay? Oxidation and reduction, ladies and gentlemen. We just went through this. Identifying the charges on substance in a redox reaction. So again, looking at an equation and going, okay, lone element, 0. Lone element, 0. In a compound, what's the positive charge? What's the negative charge? In a compound, what's the positive and negative? Even if you can't identify how much charge, normally identifying what would be positive and what would be negative is enough so that you can identify oxidation and reduction. All right? We talked about ways to identify oxidation. It is becoming more positive. You are going from a +2 to a +4, from a 0 to a +2, things like that. Ways to identify reduction. And these two are what of each other?
Opposite.
They're opposites. So again, when you talk about the way to identify oxidation, the opposite would be a way to identify reduction. Okay? And then we ended up talking about acids and bases. We defined both, talked about the properties, said some properties they have in common, some properties they are unique. Okay? Please remember, you can write anything you want down on your periodic tables, and you can use your periodic table on the test. So don't be afraid to do that. And then we talked about pH. Questions? All right. So I want to try this with you, ladies and gentlemen. So I got a review game here for the first part, which is the periodic table. I want to try this new blast game because I've never done this. Okay? So, we got to break up into groups of 2 to 4 to complete this game. I don't know how it breaks us up. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to www.quizlet.live, and the code is RJOMUD. Yes. Yes, you are. You're allowed to use your periodic table and that solubility chart, both of those. And you are also allowed one extra sheet of paper with whatever you want handwritten on it.
Which I already did.
Okay.
Front and back.
You can use all 4 edges if you want as well. Now, I will be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I have never played this blast game before. I don't know how it works. If you try it and you're like, oh my God, Mr. Brand, this sucks, we'll figure something out. Yes. Because it's the last week of the school. I'm going casual. My wife said the same thing. She's like, you're not wearing a polo today? I said, I got to change it up in the last week, otherwise you'll think that's all I ever own. Helen, thank you for noticing, because I was beginning to think no one was going to notice.
I wish Faith would heal because she was no.
Yeah, but Faith is gone, so now we got to move on.
You didn't do this already. I'm gonna get the new Lucas. I know I just got the new Lucas. I want the new colorway.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yes. It's black, purple, yellow. It's like
I'm confused.
it's sick.
It's like you're buying the same car, bro.
I have to show you the unveiling. Like literally the ad is a shoe under like some like the thingies. There's just a 2 cars.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you about another minute to get logged in. If you feel there is a better way for you to use your time reviewing right now than this, you are welcome to do that. But we're going to see how this goes.
We gotta clean these.
I have the coconut ones. I have these ones.
And then you add a little more to it.
Oh, those are the ones I can do.
The bases to it.
I haven't figured out how to get these ones. I just want to just mess with you.
How to get funny.
All right, so put you into 4 groups of 3. So you need to find your group, ladies and gentlemen. You need to find your group, and the easiest thing for us to do is go back to the lab stations in the back. So group 1, please go to that station. Group 2 over there in the middle. Group 3 on the other side there, and group 4 over here. So that way you can easily find your group. Ethan, back up 1. That's group 4 there. Group 3 is in the middle over there. All right, I have no idea how this game works, ladies and gentlemen, so hopefully you will figure it out as you go, but I'm almost sure you're going to need to be able to see each other's computers. So if not, you can move accordingly. Here we go. Sorry, because we added a player, it switched you around, ladies and gentlemen. Find your new groups. Sorry, I didn't think adding a player would switch all of the groups.
Wait, Mr. Ray, wait. Is it Quizlet?
So you're going to get in here too and mess things up? Come on, let's go, dude.
Is it? Oh, is this a genius? That's crazy. I missed it. Yeah. Yeah, both of us.
Are you in? All right, we'll get you in the next game. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So keep getting logged in. The code is still up here. We'll get you in the next game. All right, Christopher? So you get 1 minute to get as many points as you can, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
That's what you said. What do you think?
Serious? No. Horizontal rows of the periodic table and column periods. Good start.
Why did it take away the results? So the way it looks, it kept track of you individually, and then it put your scores together at the end. You got -1?
You saw it. I can't read. Like, I'm too slow.
Oh my gosh, you are not a big help to your team. All right. So you got to find your new teams, ladies and gentlemen, because Christopher got added. So group 1 over there, 2, 3, and 4. Again, find your new group, ladies and gentlemen, and then we will go again. I have an answer. What?
So it says name 3 ways to identify oxidation reaction. Would that be this slide?
I can't see. If you think I could see that slide from here, Victoria. No, I'll come over and I'll check in a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Good luck, 60 seconds. Try to get a positive score this time. What the heck? There we go. What's your question?
Yeah, because I just looked up what it's not. I just identify
Yep. Yep.
and then wasted it.
You bet.
Aluminum. Yeah, you're too fast for this one.
All right, so group 1 had a total of 7, 9. Group 2 had 2 negatives, so a total of 2. 6 for group 3, and 5 for group 4. All right, you want one more shot at this? All right, here we go. Start game.
With the same group.
Yep.
Where are you guys going?
Your Chromebook died. So your Chromebook died too, Christopher?
No, I'm just sitting down.
Oh.
It's not like we're just in a group.
Okay. So you don't need to rely on each other being in the same group? Okay.
So is it like individual or what?
I clicked that one. I don't know why. It's like it's still like on, but hey, it's alright. Oh my god, I'm losing so bad right now.
Group 1 had, excuse me, 7. Group 2 had 7.
We had 8.
Group 3 had 5. And group 4 was the winner with 8. Nicely done. All right. Now, I've got another one that I want to do. You guys, if you want, you can come back to your seats because the way this works, you can be sitting individually. But I now have another one, ladies and gentlemen, for, excuse me, for redox. So again, we'll try the same thing. I didn't realize that you don't have to be seated next to each other or next to each other. So again, go ahead and log into Quizlet. You're still in there. The new code is RMW937.
Wait,